how nature works. And ultimately, everything, according to atheism, everything that exists in the universe is energy and matter, and that does not care about right and wrong. And so, if there is no God, there is no basis for one of the most important aspects of life. But if there is a God, the whole picture changes. Then there is a base for objective morality. And it is a meaningful reaction to oppose the gas chambers or the ethical cleansing, because there is a norm above us. Fifthly, Jesus of Nazareth. My fifth argument. I think it stands as a challenge to every human being, not only because his unmatched life, but because of the claims that he raised from the dead. If they are true, it shows us that there is a God and that he has come to us in Jesus Christ. Why then believe that he was resurrected? Well, in my view, because of what we know happened after the crucifixion. I think Jesus' resurrection is the best way to explain the testimonies we have of hundreds of people experiencing Jesus alive. I think it's the best explanation for the dramatically changed life of people who, before those experiences, were afraid, disconnected, and suddenly are dramatically changed. And it is the best way to explain the dramatic growth of the Christian church. How it grew from a tiny Jewish movement to become a world-wide movement. Is Christianity a dead end? I don't think so. I think the option is interesting, is rational, and actually give an explanation for our existence on planet Earth. Thank you.
Welcome. It's your 10 minutes.
I disagree. You're constantly referring to our personal experience of the feelings of transcendence, and a couple of sentences before you were saying that some of my arguments were straw man. Well, this argument that people have personal experiences, I can have a personal experience and I can see my naked brother, and I won't say that this is his godly apparition. So we can all be under misapprehension all the time. This generation knows, and I also know that what it is to be drunk or intoxicated with some smoke. So that's no argument at all. Let me go on. You criticized the burden of proof. Well, if you know, I was citing the underlying basis of logical thinking. If you know Bertrand Russell's example of the orbiting teapot, you cannot say that the atheist cannot disprove God, because then I can tell you that you cannot disprove my God, which is a pink elephant. So my religious claim that my pink elephant, or the flying spaghetti monster that is so popular now, has an equal probability of existing, or you have the equal trouble of disproving my flying spaghetti monster. So why is the burden of proof so important? Because if you don't respect it, if you don't make your claims according to that burden of proof, then there are 6.5 billion to 7 billion people on this planet. Each and every one of them can say that they have their own God. Let's say that we have a maximally polytheistic world where each person believes in his own God, and then I can say, well, okay, you have an enormous job in front of you to disprove all of them. So that's why there can be no progress, not in science at least, if you postulate that everything goes. If I go on, you spoke about Anthony Flew. I read his book. It's called There Is a God. And you said that he had evidence for the existence of God, but then I was I started to listen very carefully and waited until you would give us some evidence, but you didn't mention any. So could you please give us the evidence that Anthony Flew talks about in his book, because I haven't seen it or heard it yet. If I go on, you say that New Atheism is ignorant in philosophy. Well, if you say that, you still haven't proved anything, have you? I can also say that, well, theists are ignorant of science. So where would that lead us? Such sentences, such claims. Why is Dawkins ignorant? He draws his conclusions from science, which is naturalistic. And if you want to study the world, and if you really want to find God, then you have to start seeking. How do you start seeking? By using a supernaturalistic approach? No, because supernaturalistic approaches to science give us exactly zero progress, exactly zero explanations. So we have to, it is necessary to have a naturalistic approach to find or assert anything. All religion is evil. Where did you find that? It's true that Christopher Hitchens' book, God is Not Great, and the subtitle, Religion Poisons Everything, has been under some attack. But we don't have a dogma, you know. We don't act like a religion. Christopher Hitchens said, from his innermost convictions, it was revealed to him by the atheistic God that all religion is bad. No, it's not like that. We're criticizing only the most problematic elements, mainly the three monotheisms. You said that the new atheists are using an outdated view of science. You didn't give us any examples. I mean, I still need some more explanation from you what you meant by an outdated view of science. You mentioned that science and religion are compatible. You also have to give us some more explanations, because I don't see how. Well, you gave us Francis Collins. Okay, he became a believer. He became a believer. You said that Francis Collins became a believer because of his science, right? Have you read his book, The Language of God? Okay. Do you remember how he became religious? He was taking a walk in the woods. I think it was sometime in the winter, and he climbed a mountain or a hill, and when he reached the peak, he saw in the distance that 3 waterfalls were frozen. And when he saw that, he fell to his knees and said, "There is a God. Look at the Holy Trinity." That's not science. Of course, you can have, it's called, the late paleontologist Stephen Jay Gould talks about non-overlapping magisteria. I think you were going into this direction, that science and religion don't overlap. They speak about different domains, different magisteria. Well, that's not true. If you want to do science, religion and science are incompatible, because science uses the naturalistic approach, and only a naturalistic approach gets us to progress. If you have a supernaturalistic approach, you get zero evidence and zero progress. Of course, there are believing scientists. Francis Collins being an example, he was, I think, the one of the leaders of the Human Genome Project. But that doesn't mean that he is so successful because of his Christianity. I mean, you can have both of these things in your head. You can be a believing Christian on Sunday, but on Monday you leave out God from your laboratory. You can't do serious science